howdy everyone, Lawson here, back in action for more testimony attraction. That's right, we're finally gonna figure out what the forensic medicine primer is, because we just said that our friend is trying to save the life of her revenge victim, apparently. And it seems everyone thinks of us as the fool. But soon they will be the foolish fools to be fooled. Pulling a blade from the wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the victim from the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago. Dr. Wilson was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you say true, Inspector? Did pulling a knife from a wound really cause a wound to bleed heavily? Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until the doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. Oh, well, never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. Didn't bring you out to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true? What they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray should have been well aware of it. If she were to claim arrogance of such fundamentals, that would provide a fatal in her ways. But then, why would Ray have done that? Would she have pulled out a knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Red? Oh no. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... my friend actually have... Susato! Yes! Pull yourself together. You mustn't lose sight of what why we're here. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with established facts, I will be moving to my adjunction immediately afterwards. I understand. Giving your clients and fighting for their cause to the bitter end. It would be hard, but no idea it would be this hard. Whoop, whoop. Forensic medicine primer. I don't think it could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge. I don't think it's any of this. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull. What do you mean there's no good reason?
Hold it!
The defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the knife, the blade inadvertently. I really don't think advertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. Oh, irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? I love how she's going women's stupid defense when she is clearly... Oh my god, I love it so much. I'll be real, I would want her to call me stupid. Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear. Perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Yeah, you know, guys, women are dumb, right? Bro, like, women are great. What are you talking about? It's kind of cringe. The cross-dressing woman just straight up trying to be misogynist, and all the people he befriends, all the people she befriends are just like kind of woke to the feminist movement and whatnot. It's just like, oh, wait. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. Killing the victim, yeah. Was a highly respected mentor of what, though?
Hold it!
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Mbami's son's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Mbami-san's abilities. Really, the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. It's hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. I knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound had threatened Miss Brett's life further. I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato. At times like this, when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. Fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course. I've been through the court records dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You didn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine in greater detail, too. Ah. So as is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudimentals, you need only ask. Do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the courtroom record. Idea, certainly. What should I do? Oh, I know what to do. I think of it. Osan and Naruhodo-san are always turning evidence over and over in their hands. So let's see. No, this is a magnifying glass? But what about this? There we go. Please. Please. There's a newspaper from, Saki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's Medical Research. Mother, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen. This morning's paper that Sasaki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned his information? To think of it. There's no article mentioning a story in our paper this morning, was there? The highly toxic poison we've been working on, in the strictest confidence. Put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? If that's what written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. Moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. You need to read this article very carefully. Okay, cool. So let's look at what we got over here. An article about poison from that was stolen from the laboratory at Yuma University. Even my father, who was responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. A deadly poison secretly developed in the university's forensics science laboratory was stolen. In a small amount entering the body, either by the mouth or by a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university would have been consulted. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with imparted breathing, and ending with acute contraction of... Oh, she was poisoned! So there's now a reason for her to do stuff. Yes, I did examine. But I'll look in your eyes. See, it's coming back to you. Look at the courtroom record again and have a thorough look at everything. Maybe just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. There's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull out the blade. Yes, there is. There is the poison reason. The poison question.
Objection!
Bam. No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? Ah, the yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Objection! The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But Prosecutor Auchi, you will let the defense speak. But in a news article, the court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry. Counsel for the defense. I'm going to need some tangible basics for your claim. We'll indicate the court precisely what part of the newspaper article affirms your assertion. Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. They would never have done something so, to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in this article, where it says, why is the poison being developed? Poison stolen, deadly in tiny quantities. Okay, I had to look at it again. Deadly, no, not stolen, deadly in tiny quantities. That one. Enter the body either via mouth or a wound from a voice. Yeah, it's tiny, deadly in tiny quantities. Gotcha. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison? Would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. What?
Objection!
This is complete and utter nonsense. Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, The defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Objection!
Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof of that information in this wretched newspaper article. Is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade? She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it? Yoko? Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? You want grounds? I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly... From your expression, Counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer. You must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. Court demands evidence. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm aware of that. Seen it many times from my place on his side at this Old Bailey. That case, Counsel, present the proof to the court now. I'm pretty sure it's this. I just need to see what it says. It's coming to light, very disturbing innocent, a deadly poison has been secretly stolen. Secretly developed at the universities as a stolen. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with imparted breathing, ending with acute contraction. Well, right there. Imparted breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. So these symptoms right here would be her realizing, oh, she has it. So it has to be that. What demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the news article? Oh, a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article. So, asserted by claims, pupil constriction, which is also a symptom of the poison. So this is it, actually.
Take that!
I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme mysis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Ugh! Clearly being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea. So please, do tell me. Presumably the fact this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death. Well, under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. What are you doing, you yokel detective? In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? But the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely? Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately. Without doubt. Prosecutor Auchi, I think you'll agree. This is very compelling evidence. You yokel student, yokel professor! I believe the defense has extremely expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions. No. Yuji Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defendant's counsel's arguments. We'll tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It's me to have to admit it. I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know. The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory. Clearly. But I was unaware of any theft. You mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfound? No, Your Excellency. About returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I can't say. Ah! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of a secret state research for his own workplace until he reads it in the newspaper. I take full responsibility for the incompetency of my supervision. Father. A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. That's totally unfound. No, this is Professor Mikotobe's fault. It's all my fault. Right? Nabami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. But it was me. I was the one who noticed the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. What? So you knew? I've been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day the professor and Sasaki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed some of the poison was missing. It's a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very clear idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty English woman. Miss Jezeline Brett. That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she sat on a stool on the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it's you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, you suddenly got to your feet. Before falling to your knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes had shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison. My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything pass Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her. Which left only one way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back. That train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade? Yes. The amount that entered her bloodstream was small enough. She might still have had a chance. That's what I had hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed then. Thank you, Your Excellency. Fairly, permissible, but I do think balance has shifted a little here. This courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. It did just collapse before your eyes, you say? Well, Membami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
You have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, I have evidence. It is very much conclusive. The prosecution counsel up to was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I was sure of it. They will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Aoji. Perhaps some praise is due, young Yoko student. What? I'd imagine that there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself. What the more damning shot exists, the cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable. This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true! No! I don't believe it. Ah! Order! Counsel for the defense. Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom? Perhaps his voice has yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. Struck you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that the picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely iconic photograph print as evidence. I believe he's had a photograph like this up his sleeve the whole entire time. Just stark image, and they're lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Hey.
Objection!
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Yeah. I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. Pardon? You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday, but there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown. Goodness. Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence at the Supreme Court? When you first produced the print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment, as you knew it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you local student, blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print is adequately expressing. The defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. There isn't a moment the knife was plugged in the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn? Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings. Indeed. Without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. The scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. The defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter. I believe the conclusion is clear. No. Susato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow. You have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces, and to rue the day you came up against Suki Uchi in the court of law. We can't determine who took this photograph. The trial is going to end to an end. Must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it. Well, Counsel? Your Excellency? The burning question is, who took that photograph? And the truth is... It's not about whether I can or can't come up with an answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photograph print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal. What? No! You can't possibly. As you so boldly claim you can, please, do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming. Do you really believe? However, I am able to present evidence. The defense as a piece of evidence reveals important details about the photographer's identity. By the way, do y'all remember this? Y'all remember me talking about this? That right there. It's right there. You see it? I knows it. I knows it. I sees it. I think we're not allowed to properly examine. Are we? Examine it. Courteous English returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Sasaki-san, isn't it, Father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. Yeah. What? Very well then, Counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mysterious photographer? And that's this. Present.
Take that!
What is that? The newspaper again? Reconnaissance, England returnees tell all. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side. Ah, yes, indeed. It already caught my eye as it happens. Ah, what of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably? Or the branch of a tree or the like? There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. Now, if you look closely at this photograph, good gracious! Yes, exactly. The same patterns of lines is present on this photograph too.
Objection!
Well, that tells us nothing. Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely. Or the branches of a tree. There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the Beats Council. What's quite remarkable about this is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching patterns that appear on both photographic prints is a result of a camera defect. Yeah. Some tree branches. Oh my god. Obviously, it must be due to the problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With the photographic evidence? Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched. But the scratched lens caused unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with a device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera. But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Objection!
I think you're forgetting Prosecutor Aochi. That one of the photographs featured the newspaper article. A newspaper? Ah. That's right. The author of that article is the mysterious witness to this crime. Ah! Minimo! I see why you were called a precocious England returnee. What are you yelling about? You've already testified. It's Mini Momo! I tell you, Mini Momo! Me, Mo! Suzuki-san, what was that? Did you say Mini Momo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the show news has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of, Mini Momo. Yes, hounding me from the dawn till dusk. Oh, he mentions it. The secretly shy, snapshots, the scribble stories, and scribble, my privacy. That same reporter B. A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with a retain, a minimum. So you're saying that this picture was taken by my minimum? Yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find the newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. As you say, Your Excellency. And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You'll solicit the assistant of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood? Yeah. Minimum. Well, things are certainly heating up. But it looks like next time we'll have to deal with it all. Till then, though, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you can. Sayonara. Bye-bye.